joining me for another edition of the Ad Podcast. Today we have Brian Mahon, who is the resident unicorn hunter and founder of Expert DOJO. Expert DOJO is a VC network, kind of a modern take on private equity, one of the largest institutional investors in the venture capital space. Brian is an expert in startups and the relationships that they have with customers, having made over 300 VC investments himself. Brian, thanks so much for coming on and chatting with us in the audience a little bit today.
Pleasure. I'm looking forward to it.
Let's go. So let's kick it off on kind of your origin story. I think people are always very interested in how investors kind of come to their, being a VC and what kind of drives that risk profile and that gear. So tell me a little bit about, where you grew up and how did you get involved in this space originally?
I would say I'm probably an accidental VC, as I would hope most people are. Folks shouldn't aspire to be a VC. They should aspire to be a great founder and recognize other great founders.
I like that.
I am Irish of origin and traveled the world for many years and did all kinds of things at a property development company, had a pretty decent tech company in the prop dev space, found myself in New York and Austin and Chicago and Boston and lots of other wonderful places. And then finally made my way down to LA about 10, 12 years ago. And it was at that time, LA was actually, as opposed to what it is today, which is a shithole. 12 years ago, it was a great place. Like, it was exciting. There was it was a great startup ecosystem going on. And the local government hadn't quite destroyed it yet. They were just getting started on working on it. So I actually had no intention of being a VC. I just wanted to be in the startup community because the startup community is awesome. And there was some great co-working spaces and just a great community of people down here. And I set up a bunch of really interesting, good events that just pulled together a lot of my friend VCs with a bunch of startups so they could get a break and just be able to break through. And I think at some stage over my time in LA, over the first 2 or 3 years, I'd started a growth hacking agency of sorts. And I love branding and messaging and storytelling, mainly because I'm Irish. And I think that's the only thing that we're really able to do. So I got super into it, and I just started building it out, and I kind of realized something. I don't know, there's like a movie, years old. I don't even know if you know, but it's like an old Stephen King movie called Children of the Corn.
Yeah, I remember it. I don't think I read or have watched it in a long time.
It's old, man. It's a sign of it. Like, at least 3/4 of the US would be like, I don't know, man. I don't know what this guy's talking about. Maybe it was black and white, but it was a Stephen King movie. And what happened was, these people walk into a town and everybody in the town is 17, 18 and younger. And they were like, where's all the folks gone that are over 18? And what happens is they walk into this field without wanting to give away the ending. But I'm guessing if you haven't seen it in 35 years, you're probably not going to watch it, right? So
maybe I'll have to go see it now.
They walk into this field and then they disappear and they never come back. And I realized it's very similar to actually how startup is. People are startups and then they got the t-shirts and they're going to change the world and it's cool and bro, it's awesome. And we're going to have $1 billion company. And then they disappear into this field of nothingness. It ain't a field of dreams. There's no Kevin Costner there. It's just they never come back again. And I don't know where they go. I don't have to go to Ohio or Detroit or to Uber or Lyft, but all of these great epic executors were disappearing. And I came to the conclusion that really America had moved from being this incredible place that, supported, rewarded, and just really encouraged entrepreneurship into this kind of baby pyramid stroke Ponzi scheme where the large these just, take their preferred children and give them a unicorn for their birthday. And that was kind of really sad. So I thought, okay, well, let's do a TEDx talk. And I did a TEDx talk about that. And then a bunch of people came to me and said, hey, man, we don't want to be racist and sexist and stupidest. We just want to back founders that have the best chance of return. So if you want to do something about it, don't talk, actually make investments. And that was 7 years ago, maybe 6.5, 7, 8 years ago. And then we started making investments. And since then, we've made hundreds of investments all over the world.
Wow. Okay. So is Expert Dojo essentially a VC itself? Are you a group of limited partners that come in and make investments in startups? Like, tell me a little bit more about the business model, because I know you have a really killer space in Santa Monica. I've been into events there. I get your newsletter. I don't know how I get it, but I get it. And I saw,
Be
one of
me.
my, yeah, probably. I saw my buddy Jeremy from Rad AI featured on there the other day. So I'm like, I'm
My boy.
always, yeah. So I'm curious, like, what's the if you're what's the model? How are you different than like a traditional venture firm?
So we're different on one level. First of all, everybody in VC gets their money in lots of different ways. So like in that way, like all VCs are different. Some people have got
Mm-hmm.
20 LPs, some people have got one LP, some people do it themselves, some people exit a company and they exit and they're angels, but they're angels that are VCs. And for me, the biggest principle is this your full-time job? And so it's my full-time.
Mm,
We just invest in companies, and then it's where do you get your money from? And so I have this phenomenal, incredible brother relationship with this chap who's a family office in LA, and we decided at the very beginning we wanted to try and do something that other VCs hadn't done before. And up to this point, the family office had only invested in real estate, and so we
mm.
thought, if we put $30 million into early stage startups, can we turn that into $1 million? Sorry, into $1 billion. Like, if can we turn into a million, that would be cool. I can do that actually. Be like Brewster's billions, right? But Brian's millions. And so can we turn it into $1 billion? Can we get like a 30x? And the thing about that ambition is it's way off like what VC is. Most VC is like 7, 8, 9% returns. You're honestly better off putting your money in a mutual fund than you are putting.
Wow,
Yeah, the truth has been spoken,
that's
unfortunately.
that's
And
wild.
you get a few of them, and then they all like Andreessen. So like they'll make their money on the management fees. And actually, Sequoia was down with with Jason Calacanis's conference there this week, and they were talking about this exact same thing. And Sequoia was saying, look, there's very few GPs just focused on IRR. Most GPs are just focused on how much they can get in AUM, and then how they can just keep all of the plates spinning for as long as possible until nobody notices that it's actually a terrible investment opportunity. So we
Wow, that's crazy.
and so at the beginning, as you pointed out, like, so the first thing for me was always that you have to get an amazing executor. You mentioned Jeremy. Jeremy is neither somebody from privilege nor somebody who just gets money thrown at him left, right, and center, but he is an incredible executor.
Mm-hmm.
And he is the epitome of how a founder finds great product rather than has it thrown upon him. Right. So he
Mm.
started out with a product which was a really good product, and then he built it into a better product, and then he built it into a better product, and then he met someone who had an awesome other half of the yin and yang. And then the two of them built out this incredible company, and now they've raised 40, $50 million, and they're building out what I believe is going to be they're building out Berkshire Hathaway for using their marketing infrastructure to be able to build them. I love a founder like that. Give me
Mm.
those founders any day of the week, because they will crush, and because other investors are not going to notice them straight away. So they're the founders I want. I'm not here for charity. I'm not here to be a nice guy. I'm not here to like whisper sweet nothings into people's ear. Like, there is no glory in failure. Failure is an absolute disaster. Divorce is not that great. Losing your house is not that great. And poverty definitely is not that great. And especially if people raised a little bit of money beforehand, they feel it twice as hard. So I just want to be working with people that we can help get towards success. And I felt that our background in marketing and growth and branding would really, really help with being able to do that. So that was the basic outline of it. And then I was spoke with our founder, and we're like, let's copy the best model that we know in venture, which is Y Combinator. But it's
Mm.
on top of that. And that means we buy cheap, but we offer value, right? They only offer a little bit of value, but we thought, what if we offered so much value that the founders would literally be thinking, this is ridiculous. No VC can actually do this on the growth hacking side. And then we thought, well, this will get us good returns, probably 2, 3, 4x, but it won't get us the 30x that we're looking for. So then we layered on warrants and options. I like warrants and options. They come out of the public markets. They work very, very well, but you have to give a lot of value for people to be able to use them. That has served us extremely well, which brought us up to having potential returns of about 7, 8 times. But then we thought, well, we need to do a little bit more than that. So we layered in emerging economies, places like India and Africa. and we've crushed it in India. And bizarrely, even though Africa has not performed that well in general, I think we have 2 amazing companies in Africa that will come out as unicorns, maybe even 3, which would be phenomenal. And India has been really good. And so that pushed us up even more. And then we layered in what I think was like the most important piece, because the difference between us and a VC is that we're not trying to get management fees. We're not trying to last a long time. We're trying to get $1 billion back for the family office. Like, that's our only goal. So we layered in private equity, which means that as the companies are going further and they're getting better, we want to take the ones that are absolutely crushing it, but they have a problem. Something whereby they need outside help is lacking or is needed, but otherwise it's a great company. And we did the first one was M80, and that was great. We got M80 acquired, stroke merged. It was a hard.
Oh, was that M80 the marketing firm that sold to WPP, Jeff Simone's, or is that a different one?
No, but it sounds like I wish it was that one. This is M80, the esports team. And so
okay, yeah.
Everything comes from a thesis, and it also comes from, well, actually, no, everything comes from a founder who can execute, but a timing in a market whereby a relatively intelligent or non-stupid person can tell there's something really good here. So I liked esports because esports is not understood properly. There are great opportunities in there. You know, 1/3 of the planet love playing esports in some way, or love playing gaming in some way, and it hasn't been monetized properly yet. It's a little bit like taking NBA or NFL 15 years before it became super, super, super popular. Like, how do you get in just before the real money is being made? But it went really well for us, and that would be probably a 20-25x by the time it's all done. So then we took our second company, which is Matchbook. Again, my thesis, I'm sure you'll ask me afterwards what I like. I don't like AI because everybody and their mother likes AI. Any 12-year-old who's starting a VC firm tomorrow is like, dude, we got to invest in AI. AI is the future of the world. AI. It's so cool. You should see the way it is. I was in San Francisco. I saw these great AI companies. I got a friend who worked in Google. They gave me this cool. It's like, no, man, you're like, you ain't getting any good AI companies. There's no those guys coming to little old you or little old me. You know, we're getting marketing bots that are like 1,000 of the same thing, all replacing humans and are never going to work. Like, that's what we're getting for our AI. We're getting the stuff. We are the beginning of, I don't know if you remember when you were a kid, but like they used to do that whole airplane where you buy seats on the airplane and you like pay $200 for a seat. And then when the airline takes off, you get $2,000 back. And then another airline leaves, and they're all virtual airlines, and it's a pure Ponzi scheme. But the idea is, do not be the last people getting on the plane, because if you are, you will lose your $200, right? And so that's what AI is. What I like is the places that are going to get crushed by AI. I love data. Data is awesome, and data is about to be massacred by AI because now there are so many points of different reference that are coming in. So like, think about, who am I? Am I Brian McMahon from the Nathan Family Office? Am I Brian McMahon from Expert Dojo? Am I Brian McMahon from Matchbook? Am I Brian McMahon who lives in the US, or do I live in Spain, or do I live in Mexico? You know, and then everything else about me now has so many points of reference, and ChatGPT has just made that 1,000 times harder. Data integrity has died. And most accuracy levels of data, outside published data right now, is at 20 to 30%. And I mean, the best almost hits 50%. So it would be like being a vegetarian and like you working on the same basis of choosing your meals in the evening. There's a 50% chance that you're not going to have meat, you know, or 50% chance that you're not going to have sex. Like, it's not good. Like, there's no world where this works. And so I love that. And it's going to get much worse. And so Matchbook, they've got the best data matching and integrity improvement in the world. There's no better technology in the world. They're doing like 3.5 million a year right now. It was easy for us to go in. It's a straight line for me to get it up to 10 million a year, which means we take the valuation from 22 this year up to 100 next year. Thank you. Like, and
Wow.
so that's how I see venture. Great founders incredible, beautiful, incredible, awesome Indian chap, but he's not the prototype of what somebody in San Francisco would see and go, oh yeah, man, yo, bro, I saw you in Stanford. We should definitely give you like $500 million for your birthday. Like, he's not that guy. He's the guy who builds incredible products that transforms customers. Like, he's that guy. And so the great thing about that guy is I don't need those VCs in Silicon Valley. I just need the customers to continue to love his product and for our team to continue to build it. And then it will go with things. So anyway, this is a game and I like this.
Yeah. No, I love it. So it sounds like you guys are kind of looking for founders in not only underrepresented, non-hypey parts of the industry, like maybe you're seeing leveraging AI, but something as maybe not sexy as data brokering or something, a space that's maybe, less, that has an interesting way to apply AI to a market to go after maybe something that isn't, hot and sexy, but the founders know their lane really well and they can execute. So you're looking for kind of a unicorn within a sea of unicorns, almost in a way.
Yeah. The funny thing is, all great executors are in plain sight. Like, they're hidden in plain sight. You can see them. You just know it. They have it in their head. They're nuts. Like, Jeremy's nuts. Jeremy actually is mellowed now. He's mellowed now because he's worked it out. And that's okay. You can mellow when you hit your Series B. That's when you can get stuff. But prior to that, they have to have something wrong with them. Like, there has to be. Because there are people, and you're like saying to them, I don't mean Jeremy with this, but like with anybody, you say to them, dude, you're definitely going to get divorced. And they're like, yeah, I ain't stopping. And they're like, you're going to lose your house. Like, you have no money left. They're like, I got one credit card left. I'm going to make it happen. And it's like, you kids, like, they don't even talk to you anymore. It's like, don't worry, they'll be fine once we exit. So, it's like, they're not normal. They're just like, they're just not normal. And that's what makes the world beautiful. And it's what builds incredible products and brings great innovation out on the world. I honestly don't think I'm that dissimilar to any of these people I'm talking about, but that's why you bet on those types of people, because they will put that thing that is ridiculously in their mind ahead of everything else. Like, that's those people. So
it's essentially.
And by the way, I don't mind if they're unrepresented. Like, I went to a nice school. A lot of buddies I have went to nice schools. I don't have a problem with a nice school, and I don't even have a problem with a little bit of unfairness. I think if I work harder than the dude next door, I should get a better roof on my house, and my kids should get a little bit of a break. The problem is, once you just give everything, you raise stupid people. And you raise stupid, ungrateful people, and then you turn them into something that does them no favors in the future. That's why, like, I didn't pay for my kid to go to college. That's why he goes to Santa Monica, college, because it's free. And then he'll work his way how to do a transfer, and and he'll invest in crypto. He's got it down. He's got his ETH and his and everything else that he's got to put his money into that will be able to get him to Loyola within 2.5 years, so he can pay like the ridiculous amount of money that they want for college these days. You got to train people like that. Otherwise, they just don't have it. And it's not their fault. They just weren't given it by their parents. And so I always said, I'll never make that mistake.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I know there was a book that was the Rothschilds versus the Rockefellers, and kind of why one generation of this very wealthy family went on to have many generations of generational wealth and continued to grow. It's because they had these family constitutions and ethics around not just giving everybody a free ride and passing down unlimited money. And then you have this other wealthy family that has kind of disappeared within two to three generations. So yeah, I think that's it's an interesting philosophy for sure. My kids are doing entertainment industry stuff and making great money, and it all goes into a savings account. And if they decide to spend that on college one day, great. If not, no big deal.
Yeah, it's cool. And by the way, if anybody pays or doesn't pay, like, there's no right or wrong. Like, every parent, the only thing we know as parents is that we suck, right? But I think in the context of startup is that like, the more someone wants it and needs it, the more they're going to fight for it. And in venture backable startup, it's an impossible pursuit. Like you can't get there just getting into your Rolls Royce and like, rolling up to the front door. You got to get there by really needing it and wanting it, because that's the only way you're going to build the incredible product that the customer needs for you to win against a much safer bet from the customer's perspective.
Yeah, that's interesting. So tell me about the space that you guys have in Santa Monica up on the third floor down on the promenade. It's a beautiful space. I've been there for an event a handful of times throughout my career. I remember Hawk Media hosted something up there. And then I think I went to another event there. I can't remember who had invited me, but is that space somehow connected to like the family office and the real estate thing, and that's like a perk of being associated with that? Or it seems like you guys have spent a lot of intention of having like a really cool space that is in the right location, and a place to kind of create community and a hub for your portfolio companies, but also like the larger venture ecosystem at large. So just would love to hear a little bit more about the space and why you guys chose it and how it fits into the equation.
You have to remember, I chose this space and used this space before I realized that Santa Monica was run by a bunch of tree huggers who were systematically looking to destroy the entire city. Kind of embarrassing now, honestly, that I'm still here. I feel like, and like their coup d'etat is like turning 3rd Street Promenade, which is filled full of homeless addicts, into a free alcohol zone where people can carry booze with them, which I think was very considerate, actually, because if I was homeless and I was living on the side of the street, I would really love to be in an area where I could just drink alcohol absolutely anywhere. So yes, God bless Santa Monica and everything they've done in the last 10 years to destroy a beautiful city. It wasn't asked, but it had to be answered. So when I look, I say the same thing to startups as I do myself. There's 100 million VCs in the world. You can't be the same as everyone else. You just can't. Because if you are, you'll just fall into mediocrity, and you might get lucky and you might get a unicorn, and that might get you a few folks, but you have to be different. And so our model where we are right now, I think is super interesting, but we didn't have that at the start. At the start, it was just, we want to build like the best that we can build and then find out what our customers think of it. And even though my ultimate customer is, of course, my partner in LP, the real customers that we're learning from are the startups. Because if I can take a company like Matchbook or M80 or any of those other companies and turn it into a unicorn with what I know is a great founder, but other folks didn't see it, and what I know is an incredible product, but other folks didn't see it, then we make it, right? But we have to build it out. We don't get the great product for free at the beginning. And so I always say to our founders is, look, you have got to build your personal brand first. And then you have to build a business brand that is differentiated and screams your why, right? So my personal brand, I've built it over the years. Like, there's no reason anybody should know me. I'm just a rando Irish guy who found his way into Santa Monica looking all anemic and everything, and like lasted for a while. And so I don't have the pedigree. I'm not an investment banker. I didn't come from, I love finance. My dad was an accountant and I understand it really well. And I think the answers to everything is numbers. But I didn't come from, a finance bro place where this stuff was a natural path for me. So there's no real reason why I should be any better known than the very least known VC in the entire world. But for that exact reason is why you have to build an epic production around yourself. You have to. And then you have to build an epic production around the brand of the company. And then your personal brand has got to serve your business brand. Like, there's no choice unless you want to be mediocre. And if you want to be mediocre, just get a job like everybody else who's mediocre. And so I thought, fine, on the personal brand, I do my TEDx talk. I'll have a book coming out pretty soon. I did a TEDx talk over in India when we broke into India. And all of those things are to build a personal brand. So folks will get to know who Brian really is. They could like Brian or hate Brian or whatever, but it's important to get it out and to know that you're not doing this to be well known, because there's no value in that. There's no money in that. You're doing this so your business brand gets better SEO, which means that your business message gets out, spending less money. And the second thing was around the business itself. I took a moment of crisis and I took advantage of that moment of crisis to mean I could get myself into that space. And then I made damn sure every single real tech event that was happening from anywhere from south of San Francisco to San Diego was going to take place in Expert Dojo if I decided they could take place in Expert Dojo. So over years, we had tens of thousands of people that were coming into Expert Dojo, like tens of thousands of people. I don't even know how many. And so everybody got to know Expert Dojo. And they didn't just get to know Expert Dojo for free. Like a lot of those people paid money to be there. Like, Eric's my friend, but they still paid like $1,000 or $1,500 to walk through that door and have the graces. So it's like the ultimate growth hack. And I say it to founders as well. It's too expensive to go head to head against your competition with paid adverts. You will lose. And so you have to do something extraordinary. So my extraordinary was opening up here. And my other extraordinary, now we're doubling or tripling down on India because India is so cool. So I won't even launch the book over here. Nobody gives a damn what a random guy has to say, but they will care in India. So we will launch the book in India. We'll make it very focused on there. I'll have a nice picture of me dressed in my Indian garb. And then we will then continue with what we're going to do over in India. So yeah, you got to build that. You got to get an unfair advantage. Nobody's going to help you. God's not on your side here. Your friends are not on your side. The industry is most definitely not on your side. And don't even think for a second that the investors are on your side. You got to get an unfair advantage.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting. It seems like a lot of VCs these days are kind of going the direction of like building a platform. They're almost becoming like an investment arm that also owns a media channel or a media company. I mean, you think about Andreessen and the All In podcast.
I knew you were going to say Andreessen because Andreessen are like, those guys nailed it, right? They did a really good job. They did, although they did fuck up a Clubhouse. Like, duh, that was dumb. Like, come on, guys, really? $100 million value. They gave $1 billion valuation. I think, did they put $100 million in, those dumbasses, into that terrible company? And they did mess up on WeWork. Like, that is, again, another dumbass thing to do.
Yeah. I don't know if you saw Newhouse just declared BK. And
so Newhouse just went down. By the way, and I also think that is testament to what's happened in Santa Monica. Like, I don't like everything that happened. It's really funny. Every single thing can be compared to a startup and a startup's journey. A city is a startup. A VC is a startup. We all have to differentiate. We all have to do our stuff. Now, Santa Monica, LA is a group of cities, which kind of makes this point, I suppose, slightly more complicated, but the same principle applies. In the group of cities, they messed up so many things. It wasn't just Santa Monica messed that stuff up. LA messed up the Palisades, like so bad. So bad what they did. And that sucked the air out of the entire city. All well-paying people for stuff that needed to be paid for disappeared. And then you take like the TV industry. They should never have allowed. You got to be like beyond an idiot to allow the TV industry to disappear from LA. Subsidize? Yes. Do what you got to do? Yes. Give grants for people to make movies in LA? Hell yes. Do not let it go. Because a child of 5 could have seen what was happening from, there's before Netflix and after Netflix, right? But anybody could have seen that the writing was on the wall. And like even letting these people, and by the unions, they're a bunch of idiots as well. Like a stupid strike. I swear to God, these people are like, I'm trying to stay with nice words, but they're so bad. So anyway, my point is just that you have to build a great brand. You have to be aware of the challenges that are coming up, and you have to adapt to the market. Today, Andreessen are adapting really well to the market. They understand, like Tech Week, they're doing it in LA, they're doing Tech Week in San Francisco, and Tech Week in New York. Well done them. They now own the entire tech ecosystem at no cost. Like they'll get sponsorship to cover the cost of what they're doing on it. It's now become their arm on it. So well done them. I actually have nothing but like big old congrats for A16 for what they've done.
Yeah, no, it's really interesting. And even like if you think about the podcast, that has expanded outside of being a venture or an industry podcast. It's a general market show that average people tune into now. So it almost kind of raises the awareness of the entire ecosystem in a way, just to like the masses. I mean, people have always been fascinated with VC and tech, and kind of, there's a lot of TV shows about it and stuff like that. But yeah, no, I think it's really interesting what you're doing as well. So tell me a little bit more about your thesis around India. I mean, there's obvious things, it being one of the largest markets and fastest growing developing economies and all the things that are obvious. But there's also some interesting stuff happening on the geopolitical side. What makes you super bullish on India, and why are you spending a lot of time out there these days?
Yeah. I think afterwards it always looks, I feel very clever when I'm answering something like I knew it. But then I think back and I'm like, I didn't know jack shit at the start. The only things I knew was that I was not going to be able to, because again, we have to look at like this market entry, this Trojan horse. We're startups. I'm a startup VC, somebody else is a startup, something else. When I'm competing, like my behemoth, while somebody in the data industry might be competing against a Moody's or a Dun Bradstreet, I'm really competing against a Sequoia or an Andreessen. So if I'm going to go face to face with Sequoia, like how long is it going to take me to beat Sequoia? I'm dead. Like I'm dead long before that moment comes. Like maybe I'll get in 20, 30, 40 years later, but God, who the hell wants to be sipping their soup through a straw by the time they win that race? So you have to do something different. You have to build a Trojan horse to be able to get in. So I knew that actually having a thesis around the bridges rather than the land masses was something that was very unique. And I knew that building in a growth hacking agency into that was even more unique. So we would say, hey, you're in Africa, you need to break into the US. This is the real market. What do you know about the US? Actually, don't bother answering that. You don't know shit about the US. I do. We own the bridges. The toll road is ours. So you want to come into the US, you're going to come in through us. So you'll take our terms and you'll take our money and you'll take our warrants, and we will really help you, and you will thank us for this afterwards. That's what's going to happen. And so my generality was, I know where Latin America is. I've lived there. I know where Africa is. I haven't lived there, but they got a lot of people. And I know where India is. And I've always felt that Indians were very smart and very hardworking people. But this was before the change. And the change actually started to happen about 4 or 5 years ago. And there was a couple of things that I kind of found out and I knew and I got to know a lot better that made India. Actually, let me give you the numbers first. Africa had 5 unicorns or 6 unicorns, like, I don't know, 5, 10 years ago. And they have 5, 6 unicorns today. Malo, as my friends in Mexico would say. India had 5, 6 unicorns, same time period. Now they got 127 unicorns. Where are you going to put your money? Right? It's really easy. Right? And we can argue forever about why that's a problem, and should people put more money into Africa, and is it smart for them to have a weaker third education system, higher education system than India, who have got IIT, which competes so much better than MIT. There's 23,000 Indian kids coming out of that school every single year, and there's a million applying to get into it. You also have an amazing leader. Like, I won't get into politics here because I hate them all. I just find that one steals, the other one's useless, then the other one steals, then the other one steals again. And so I just think they're all useless here. But in Modi, there's a great leader over there. And so not only did he have the school system really well put together, they also have the finance system, like the fintech system, the payment system they put in place was brilliant a couple of years ago. On top of that, he made all of the states realize he did something very similar to what we do with our companies. We give everybody a future adjusted investor return score. And we measure everybody against everybody. So everybody, we don't even have a name. I don't call Jeremy. I call him 12. Right? His name, he's 12. Right? Everybody gets ranked based on how much of a future adjusted IRR you're going to make investors to your next round. That's it. And it's all measured equally. And so if you're 12, that's good. Like out of 300 companies, God bless him. He's a great founder, right? But if you're 189, then you got to really question, should an investor be putting money into you? If you were 100, let's make this very non-sexist. If you were the 189th best looking boy in a nightclub, should anybody be bothering themselves with you in that particular moment? Or should you go home and maybe change your flip-flops and put on some shoes and like leave your Hawaiian shirt at home? And this is what we say to founders. Like, it's based on future growth. It's based on past growth. It's based on target growth. It's based on a ratio of revenue through to future valuation. Like, it's based on all those things. So if that's what your problem is, fix it. fix it. And then when you're fixing it, then which is better, number 12 or the one that's gone from number 180 to 115 as an investor, right? And so that's what we want to encourage, like we do. And so anyway, I'm rambling, but just every single thing is about, you got to build a great entry points in. And I wanted to make sure that as we were going into India, we found out as much as we could possibly find out. And everything we found out, from Modi getting the states and getting them to compete against each other by showing them who was the best and who was the worst, everything down to how the parents were educating their kids, everything down to how they look at technology, to their history and their background in technology, to the chip on their shoulder they had after the English gave them that wonderful period of time that they spent over with them as well. All of that made a big difference. But the real kicker for India is the fact that all of those amazing Indian entrepreneurs who came over to the US to spend the rest of their life over here are now leaving.
Interesting. And are they going back to India?
Yeah, and these are not the ones that were like first engineer, second engineer. These are the ones that went all the way up to CTO and CEOs. We are losing, like, that's why a lot of the stuff going on now is like, there's good reasons for some of it, but it's bad because we're losing so many unbelievably brilliant AI and technology people because they just don't want to be here anymore.
Interesting. And is that just because of the, the climate around immigration and even like good immigration, like H-1B and stuff like that? Like what's the sentiment that's driving it?
This is not really an anti-Trump rant. It's like everything. I mean, in California, I actually am working with a chap who's looking to be governor of California, and he's running on zero state tax. And he's very progressive, but he's also, he's got a Latina wife and he's got a African-American child. And so he like ticks a lot of the good boxes as well. And so, and so for me, when he was sitting down working out what like his future, the reasons for him doing the things he's doing, he was saying, look, California is financially hopeless. So it's not just about, oh my God, we live in a great place and like our president is really mean to us and we should all leave. It's about, there's a reason why someone like him gets elected. There's a reason. Like there's a reason why perfectly good, normal people will put a man like that in office. And that is not a reflection on him and not a reflection on us. It's a reflection on what's happened. Like we've gone a long way down a road. Like everything I was saying about Santa Monica before is kind of reflective throughout the entire state. And we have so many people who can't make it to the end of the month. And these are people earning $250,000 a year. And they can't make it to the end of the month. And so we have a real problem. Like I mentioned earlier on about my kid in Santa Monica College. You know how much Loyola Marymount costs a year?
I don't. I would guess 80 grand a year.
Close on. And that's before, and that's like after tax, right? Because by the time you're paying that stuff, you pay tax on that already. Plus, there you got your student loans. I don't know what they go for, but probably like 5-10%, I'm guessing. And you're keeping those suckers for 20 years, if I know people around. So really, you do 4 years there, that's $1 million you've just gone into debt on your student loans. Like, how does anybody have a chance? So I think we're at this really interesting crossroads where folks are very desperate and nobody knows what to do and everybody's looking for an answer. And I don't think what we had before was an answer. I don't think what we have now is an answer. But I do think that there's a path which is being paved to having to reverse this because we all feel it.
Yeah, 100%. You mentioned a little bit about narrowing the VC gender gap and investing in underrepresented founders. You've talked about it through your India strategy.
Yeah. I don't care, right?
Yeah, but it just the fact
I don't
that
care.
It seems like your thesis naturally gravitates towards finding like just founders that don't look like the normal cast of characters, that look like you said.
Because people miss them though. Like like somebody be like, hey, I'm a female founder. I'm like, I don't care. What, you want me to care? Like, I should care. Should we like badge? And then maybe I can go to like female founder, like support groups and we can have a chat about that. or black founders or Irish founders or Mexican founders. Like, who fucking cares? I don't think great founders want anyone to care. I think they actually want the opposite. But what I'm not going to do is a pity parade for people who don't have the ability to execute. Like I am, I love when there's a little bit of bias there, because I get great founders to invest in. I love that. I'm totally down,
Interesting.
right? So otherwise, poor old Brian doesn't get a chance. But I do get a chance now because I go in, and I remember I had this I had this government grant that we were trying to do. We were just trying to get some free money, and they said, they're like, how many female founders do you have? I'm like, I have no clue. And they said, yeah, but can you count them? I'm like, no. And they said, well, you have to do the grant. I'm like, well, I'm not going to, because if the moment I count them, it becomes a thing, and it will never become a thing for me. I think we actually have a female founder in Africa who I genuinely believe will be the first female unicorn in Africa. I genuinely believe she will. And honestly, when she wins, I'll be like the happiest person ever, because I think it will do such good for African founders and African everything. And I think she's a badass and she can do it. But, I didn't invest in her because she's a girl.
Yeah.
I did
you invested in the business model.
Yeah, it makes a really nice story afterwards for me to tell people about like what a nice guy I am. But I invested in her because she was a kick-ass graduate out of Cambridge that had gone over to Africa, had seen a problem within payments and cross-border payments, and had built out a technology that was fixing that problem, and had got an amazing Trojan horse. And she hadn't even started yet. And I hardly ever invest in like pre-revenue founders, but I saw it in her. She's an animal. Like nothing else matters. And so, yeah, I'm just down for great executors.
I love it. All right. We've hit the 4:30 mark. We're 41 minutes in. I know you have a plane to catch tonight. You want to keep going, or do you got to get moving?
We can do a few more minutes. Like if you've
All right. Yeah. I got just a couple more, and then I'll let you outro and send people in an interesting direction. So what's the biggest mistake that you see founders make time and time again?
Oh my gosh, there's so many. Like I see myself as a founder. I'll tell you, I don't want to dodge the question, but it's just so many. And the thing is, well, I can actually give a generalization, and then I'll say what we focus on to try and help founders succeed better. And a few of them might be surprising.
I like that.
People, right? So the generalization is that I think all of us lean into what we're really good at. So if I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, I've got to do like a logistical report on how we build out the best way to statistically make sure that we have something in our program, or I can sit here chatting with you in the podcast. Like I'll do 10 podcasts, right? Because I just have fun. I like it. But I shouldn't, right? And so we all need to fill our skill gaps, and very few of us do. Jeremy did it amazingly well. He was building this great AI platform, and he doesn't know how to build anything. For God's sake, I don't even know if Jeremy could put the light bulb back in his room at home. Like I bet you his wife does that. But he partnered up with this just amazing founder who can do nothing else but this AI, like amazing technology integration that they needed in their company. And so all of us have to do that. I mean, we've launched in India. Honestly, I wouldn't be able to launch in India. It's not my skill set, is logistics or operations. But Ashutosh, who's my partner over in India, is doing an amazing job over there. And he's building out a phenomenal team, and they're doing great work on everything that they're doing. So skill gap as much as you possibly can, as early as you possibly can. And you don't skill gap for good, you skill gap for temporary periods. So what you do is, as you find that like you're moving forward, you're going to have different problems. You're going to go, I always say there's 3 phases you go through. The first phase is like the Viking phase, then the gladiator phase, then the Knights of the Round Table. The Viking phase is there's no stand-up meetings, right? You don't get any Vikings who are asking how their hair looks. They just get on a big dirty old boat together. They sharpen up their axes. They spread the brand precedes them across the ocean about them sharpening their teeth on the boat with like the teeth sharpener to make sure that they can eat little children properly. And everybody runs away from the village so that they can get everything they want with the minimum of friction, right? That's how Vikings roll. Outbound, obsessive, brand messaging, incredibly important. And you make sure that you build around what you're doing a very strong personal brand as well. So you've got your personal brand, your business brand, and you've got your outbound. That becomes the beginning. Then once you do that, you get your revenue up to a certain amount. Let's pretend it's recurring revenue for a moment. It's a B2B SaaS model. And then you get your revenue to a certain amount. Now you have to build systems. There's no point in traveling over to the same place over the same ocean, because it's just going to drop a damn rock on top of your boat and you're all going to drown. So you got to build incredible systems that will be able to replicate the things that you are now doing that you know are starting to work. You're also spending at that beginning part. When I say brand at the beginning, I'm not thinking of messaging. I'm thinking of understanding. So that whole brand, understanding your customer, is listening, finding out, obsessive. So you can see the whole objective is to find out what is your Horizon 3 product. That's our goal, right? As a founder, we got to hire the right people around us. We got to keep the vision, and we got to not run out of money. That's our only 3 jobs, right? And that vision that we're keeping and that we're maintaining is to get to a Horizon 3 vision. Our Horizon 1 vision was copy and paste Y Combinator, throw in a little bit of growth hacking, and we will build out a better venture model than the rest of the industry. Our Horizon 3 vision is a private market index of alternative assets that are able to give superior returns based on a total mix of every single viable asset class. This thing has got nothing to do with this thing. But you have to do this thing to find out what's working or what's not working to get to this thing. Because we would never have got to like this potential billion return without doing that. So that's the general stuff. The specifics are when a founder comes in, we'll say to them, look, Knights of the Round Table is you just got to make sure you've got all these people surrounding you that are all better at what you were good at doing before in their individual areas, marketing, tech, all of those other areas, finance, all of those other areas that you need. And then, so did I leave anything out in that? Maybe a community is very important as you're also building up the gladiator piece as well. Building influence is really important when you're building up the gladiator piece. And also creating an epic production, which is what I did with our space, to make sure that you can build domain dominance. Domain dominance is everything. Nothing else matters other than domain dominance. Okay. So we then bring the founders in, and the kind of things that we're saying to the founders are, you need to build out a matrix of like, this is like building out a business. So if you want this amount in additional revenue, you got to have this amount in sales, you got to have this amount in prospects, this amount in meetings, this amount in initial prospects, this amount of outbound. Like that's how it has to work. And you have to measure it out every single day. And then you also got to make sure that you take care of your health. You got to drink a lot of water. A good friend of mine, he's like, Brian, you got to sleep properly in the evenings. You got to train like you're Alcaraz. Like you can't expect to like win like Alcaraz wins while you're sitting on the couch like a fat slob eating Doritos all day and you're just like replying to emails. You got to be out there like a beast. And that's your mental, it's your clear thinking, it's your clear outlook. Like you got to be building a unicorn here. You're not building a failure, or at least that's not your intention at the start. As I said, brand and storytelling, I think, are huge. Personal brand, I think, are huge. Building out an epic production to make sure that you outplay everybody else is absolutely huge. And, you know, smarter people than me would come on and they would talk about like the people that you bring in. I don't know that you have that amount of choice at the beginning. I think at the start, you just got to hope and pray, and you're going to make a lot of mistakes, and you got to get rid of the bad ones as quickly as you possibly can. And then you just got to hope that you get to a place of winning. And the final thing I will say is that in this environment we are in right now, the only thing that matters is not raising money. It's being able to show that you can grow your customer growth to 200% per annum, and you can keep that thing maintained, because if you do that, VCs will put money into you guaranteed.
Wow. So you've talked a lot about brand and personal brand. When you think about your perspective as a growth hacker, is that the ultimate tactic right now in the growth hacker's bag of tricks? Is it earned? It's earned media by being a founder-led brand and using the fact that everybody's obsessed with Shark Tank, everybody's obsessed with reality TV shows, and founders have a unique opportunity with the democratization of social media and living in an algorithm-driven economy versus a follower-based economy. Everybody has the opportunity to go viral every single day. So if you get out there and you work those muscles and you put yourself out there and let people come around along for the ride, that's really the differentiator between a challenger brand and a stodgy brand that doesn't have that advantage.
Yes, sir. You know, Tim Draper, look at Tim Draper. He competes real well with Andreessen. without having a couple of $1 billion under that they have. And he does it because he understands it. Like, he's been doing the media stuff while those guys were in their short pants. And so it's all about, you gotta stay strong. I don't believe in fake it till you make it. I think that's awful. I don't believe in minimum viable product. It would be like minimum viable sex. Like, what's the point? Like, who would ever do that? What does that even mean or look like? It's like a ridiculous, stupid, arrogant, phraseology. I know it's in lean startup, but it's full of garbage like that. And like, why would anyone, nobody has ever woken up in the morning and thought, you know what, I'm really hoping that I can get today? I'm hoping that someone tries to sell me a minimum viable product. Like, that would be awesome. If I can be one of those early users that gets something that's broken, so I can really make it perfect for the people who want it to be really good in the future. Like, that would really make my day. So yeah, just build beautiful product. I think beautiful product, a lot to be said. Look, I'll say one piece on this. You have two ways to approach, but you should always be building beautiful product, right? One way is you can do what Science did. Beautiful, 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 amazing company. I got nothing but respect.
Yeah, Mike and those guys. Yep.
I got nothing but respect. Those guys did great. Like, man, I don't want to say anything bad about the water because I really like those guys, but I don't know where that first water came from, right? But what I do know is that it doesn't matter because they built such an amazing brand around Liquid Death that Liquid Death grew in notoriety because people loved the idea of what they had. And is there really a difference in water in the first place? I don't know. Since then, they've built amazing product, which
right. But when they started out, the water could have come out from the kitchen sink.
We're good. Yeah, another one. Right. And so, yeah, God bless them though. And Dollar Shave Club, same thing. Like, come on. Okay, we can maybe guess about the water from Liquid Death, but we know that thing that they put in that box was like 2 cents worth. It was the worst plastic razor ever. And it was like, I don't know what the subscription was, but it was probably like $10 or $15 a month. Like, God bless them, really smart. And they sold that for a great price, and they'll sell Liquid Death for the great price. So brand, I think what the beautiful thing about Science is they're the last guardian of beautiful storytelling and brand in Santa Monica. And I love them for that. And then there are other people who just build incredible product. I love both. You could, depending on what day it was, you catch me on both, because I believe in the honesty and the integrity of incredible product that transforms customers. And I believe in the storytelling that allows people to really enjoy more what they're engaging with. So either of those things are really good. And anybody building anything else, like, there's so much AI garbage being built just because it says AI. And I think in people's hearts of hearts, they know it's garbage. They're just hoping that they can get a break based on the fact that, they're surrounded by less intelligent people. So I think either lead with incredible product or lead with an incredible story with a view to building incredible product.
Well, I think that's a good place to let you catch a plane in New York, my friend. Where do you want to point people to learn more about what you're doing or connect with you directly?
If you are a founder, then you can apply on the Expert DOJO website. I don't look at the deals these days. I just do the growth hacking. But Jonathan Wallace looks at the deals, and Jonathan's great. And he's launched the celebrity fund that we have out of Miami. So Jonathan will be very happy to look at that. Or you can shoot them to Jonathan. It's just John, Jon at expertdojo.com. If you have a complaint, then we don't have a complaints department. But you should ruminate on it, and you should think about it, and you should let it eat at you, and then that would be good. You'd be dealing with it like a proper Irish complainer. And then if it's anybody who's interested in anything else, they can just reach out to me, Brian at expertdojo.com.
I love it. Well, Brian, this was an exciting conversation that went in so many fun and exciting directions. Thank you for spending some time with us tonight before you get on the road. For those of you who are watching, if you're seeing the show for the first time, don't forget to give us a subscribe or a like so you can see other exciting founder stories with other folks that will be coming up on the show. And if you are listening to the show, give us an honest review. That's how we find a larger organic audience. And last but not least, if there's a founder out there or somebody in the marketing space or someone who you think would just enjoy my conversation with Brian tonight, don't forget to share the show. And with that, Brian, I'll let you go. Safe travels to New York.